Even a scientist has to admit that there are some pretty serious religious overtones to all this.
It'll make her tinkle.
This is the morning stream, and I have some real concerns.
Oh, Dow's on mute. Hi, hey, ho! What's going on, everybody? Hello, everybody. We're back, everybody. That's pretty good. It's like the Cure and
a little Coldplay.
Yeah. It's like they all had a little weird baby. There's the baby.
Bagheera says Arcade Fire. I totally hear that too. Yeah, it was good, solid UK band.
A sturdy. Bog standard band.
Right on.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's how the British would say it. Bog standard. All right. We're back, everybody. Thank you for your continued patience while we do a show. I mean, like you have to sit and be patient for us to do a show. That's a weird thing to say.
Thanks for your patience while we record this program.
Thank you for your service. Let's get Steven Schleicher in here because that's how we do. And we bring him in via Skype, which means lots of cool music and this. Steven Schleicher, all the way from Hays, Kansas, the proprietor, owner, founder, and continual fuel. That is the guy behind MajorSpoilers.com. Major Spoilers, everybody. Steven Schleicher, hello, welcome.
Hello, Scott. Hello, Brian.
It's good.
Hello.
Good to have you here. How are you?
I'm good.
You know you're my daughter's favorite segment. Have I told you that?
Yes, you've mentioned that multiple times.
Yeah. You know why? Because she says you're the one that knows everything.
Oh, well. She needs to listen a little more closely then.
I take that as
Jerry just pretends, and he's loud about it.
Yeah. That's basically it. But I think what she means is she knows when you come on and talk about the things you talk about, you're going to have an expert opinion. And that's, I don't know, I think that's to your credit, man. Well done.
All right. Well, hey, let me drop some knowledge on you then.
All right. Give it to me.
You guys were playing the superhero game earlier.
We were.
And Brian mentioned form of a bucket, form of a pail of water.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is actually a Zan and Jaina comic book coming up in February.
Oh, my Lord.
It is part of Brian Michael Bendis's new imprint at DC Comics. It's going to be written by Mark Russell, and I know some people don't like Mark Russell because of some of the things that he has done and said in some other places. But if you are a fan of the Flintstones comic book that DC did a while ago, which was just phenomenal, I have a feeling he's going to bring that same kind of spirit to the Zan and Jaina comic coming up in February of 2019.
So this is not Mark Russell, the American political satirist.
No, not the piano player. Sorry.
Oh, different. Oh, that's already a third guy.
Whole different one. He's the comic book writer behind the Flintstones, Snagglepuss, the Lone Ranger, and coming soon the Wonder Twins.
There's a Snagglepuss comic. What?
Yes, and Snagglepuss. It takes place in the 1950s, and of course, Snagglepuss is gay. I don't know if he's out or if he's just closeted, but it's things that he had to deal with as a gay character in 1950s the South.
Okay. All right.
Exit stage right and looking fabulous even.
Yeah, we put even at the end of everything, which is super annoying. All right. I guess that's a thing. That'll be a thing to do. I mean, obviously they're pigeonholing him a little bit, aren't they? They're making him do all the weird stuff from, like
I don't think they're making him. I think he's choosing to do that.
Yeah, I don't mean they're forcibly, sitting
You will write Zan and Jaina.
Yeah. But I mean, what do you expect from such a thing? Like, probably not good, right? Like, I mean, it's those stupid Wonder Twins. They suck.
Yeah, but he has a way. I mean, you would think that how can you make the Flintstones interesting, or how can you make Snaggletooth interesting? And in both of those books, really took current political and social issues and enveloped them and included them into those comics. So I think we're going to see kind of the same thing with the Wonder Twins. Here are two people who are from a place that's very different than what people might expect in your normal high school classroom type situation. And so maybe they're going to be dealing with some teenager issues, some issues of aliens, xenophobia, those kinds of things. So it should be interesting to see where this book goes.
Well, I just showed the chat room a video clip of the girl. What's her name? Jaina?
Jaina.
She creates a octopus. Okay, so she's now an octopus.
Mm-hmm.
Her brother, what is it? Zane?
Yeah, Zan.
Zan
Zan.
He creates a unicycle made of ice. And then Jaina, jumped on top of the ice unicycle as a octopod and rode off into the sunset there with him. That's weird. That's freaking weird.
See, on the planet that they're from, that's how everybody gets around, on ice unicycles.
Okay.
That's totally normal from their planet. Like, yeah, of course, ice unicycle. How else would you get around?
Yeah, of course. Like, that seems obvious now that you've said it, if you've mentioned it that way. But yeah, it's just super dumb. So, hey, if he can figure out a way to make it work, they're doing a lot with the Archie stuff that works. Like, why not, I guess, go there? But it was never, I mean, it started on the show, right? It was never a comic.
Right. It was. They did appear in the Super Friends comics from the 70s, but they did appear on the cartoon series first.
Yeah. And let's talk about those categories real quick. Wonder Twin powers would fall into what, Brian, on your list of 20 powers? Would it be
Those are
body manipulation?
Shape-shifting.
Okay.
Shape-shifting, yeah.
All right.
Because
he's more element. I mean, he's shape-shifting and he's an element controller, right? Because he's
not really controlling any elements other than making himself an element. You know, it's like a Human Torch could shoot fire, and he could make fire rings, and he could fly around using the fire kind of as a source of energy.
Right.
He is just turning his body into that element, which I think it's a kind of elemental manipulation, but I think it's really just
and it's always water. He's never anything but water. Frozen,
yeah,
sometimes.
some form of water.
Yeah,
yes. Steam, water.
It sucks.
You know,
she's
ice.
over there. She's like, make a form of a giant, powerful monkey that could destroy 50 men. All right, your turn.
She's Beast Boy.
Yeah, she's Beast Boy, and he's over there. Make a bucket of pee. Like, that's the best he can do.
A bucket. Like, they had to get Gleek over to bring a bucket.
Oh, that's right. Gleek had to bring a bucket. Is Gleek in the comic?
I don't know, but if you look over at majorspoilers.com under the DC solicitations for February, we do have the cover image of that. And Gleek it's both of them like in high school doing a fist pound, and Gleek is poking out from one of the lockers. And he is a much scarier looking space monkey than what you might remember from the cartoons.
Really?
Where do I find this?
I'll find it.
His job has been upgraded from bucket carrier to force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's
as soon as I find it, I'll post the link.
Just stick it in the chat, in the Twitch chat. I'll click on that.
Gleek.
I mean, I'm weirdly want to kind of read it just to see what they do with it. And also now Snagglepuss is on my mind, and maybe I want to check that out.
A few years ago, Alex Ross did an April Fool's joke where he was talking about doing a really, a typical Alex Ross painted style Wonder Twins.
Oh, was it like just like an April Fool's joke or something? Like
it was, but he did a cover for it, and it looked amazing.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
It was a comic I really wanted. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. It was called Form of Water.
Really? It was literally called Form of Water.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the. Here we go. It's in the.
All right. Somebody.
Chat room.
Okay, chat room. Here we go. Let's give this a look. Oh my gosh! Look at that.
That's so Alex Ross, right?
Yeah, it's so Alex Ross.
Yeah, and then he did the one that I posted a link to underneath, which also has a scary looking Gleek.
I mean, he's a monkey. He's going to rip your face off.
Yeah, that's his job. Yeah. He knows what's up. Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, look at that. Oh, my gosh, that Gleek is really scary. I don't like it. Wow. Yeah, I mean, look,
wow.
This kind of just proof that if you put the right approach to something, you could maybe make something out of it,
Yeah, I posted it there in the chat.
Okay. Oh, there's your article thing.
Yeah, there's the...
So this is the...
Yikes,
look at that.
That's a freaky looking... Gleek. It's almost like a human face with looks like that guitarist from Limp Bizkit.
Yeah,
who wore the contact lenses.
if you were a high school kid that was one of these two, would you walk around in your suit all day? Like, why wouldn't you just be like a teenager that day?
Maybe those are the only clothes they can afford, Scott. Come on.
All right.
Yeah, maybe this takes place on their planet with lockers and superhero suits.
Somebody wrote on the locker back there, Zan sucks.
Well, I mean, he kind of does.
And then down there, Loser Twins. Look at that. Down in the corner there. Boy, this is not this high school is out to get these two. Wonder what they'll do.
We'll have to find out in February.
I guess so. Yeah, we're going to find out. All right. Well, this is great and all. I wanted to ask you real quick, though, because we haven't really talked about it since this season began, but this season of Doctor Who, with the lady doctor there. I haven't watched any of it, so I have no opinion. I planned to and didn't, but maybe I still will. But anyway, I know you've kept up, and you think they're doing something very interesting. I wonder what you mean by that. Explain.
Yeah, so this last Friday, the 24th, was the 55th anniversary of the first episode of Doctor Who appearing. So Doctor Who is 55 years old as a TV series. And the TV series originally got approval because it was going to have educational content for the kids. Mm-hmm. And so in certain episodes, they would bring up things like, oh, here's a little historical thing, or here's a little science thing that will bring up information for you. And this season, I have not watched the latest one, The Witchfinders, but I'm caught up with everything else. And the episodes that take place on Earth in the past, so that would be the Rosa episode, which features Rosa Parks, and then the Demons of Punjab, which takes place during Separation Day between Pakistan and India. And I'm pretty sure the Witchfinders, too, all bring in real historical events and talk about them in the show. So in a sense, this season, even though we have a brand new Doctor here, it seems like they're making a nod back to the original very first Doctor in that very first season, where they were putting real historical and educational information in the show. And I find that super fascinating.
Yeah, that's an interesting take.
It's like a quantum leap kind of turn, because they had the Rosa Parks episode earlier this season. Mm-hmm. I'm only partway through the India.
Yeah, the Demons of Punjab.
Yes, exactly. I'm I'm probably about halfway through that episode, so no spoilers, but it's an interesting direction to take.
Yeah. And I find it fascinating. And they've only done it on the ones where they've gone back in time on Earth, like the Arachnids of the UK. Hey, if you're someone who has arachnophobia, you may not want to watch that episode.
Are there lots of bugs, lots of spiders?
Lots of spiders. In fact, there's a couple of spiders that are the size of buses that are running around and eating people. So.
Great. You know, the bigger they are, the less they scare me.
Also, that one, Scott, you may not want to watch because there's a subtle Trump jab in there for one of the characters, and that might set you off.
You think it'll trigger me? Is that what you think?
It might. It really might.
I don't mind. Listen, here's the deal about spiders. I just want to get this out there officially. I don't mind big ones. Like when they get to be huge, like the size of a bus, who cares? It's when they're between the size of my fingernail and as large as a dog. That's my range where I have a problem.
Oh, there's a lot of them that are the size of a dog. And again, because they're bringing in science facts, even in the Arachnids of the UK, they talk a lot about some of the spidery science stuff that you guys were talking about before, how humans are regarded as nothing more than giant rocks and those kinds of things in the episode. So there's some science in this stuff too.
All right. Well, I'm down with science. I like science. Science is great. Science is something I like to be blinded with. I like to be blinded with science.
Well, you might want to put on some sunglasses because I hear the future is so bright you might need to wear shades.
I've heard that also before. It's been a while, though, since I've heard it, but I'm glad you, another child of the 80s, could be here to remind us of that fantastic song all the way back in its day. Hey, real quick here before we go. I don't know if you guys did this, but in the Thanksgiving holiday, within about 24 to maybe 30 hours of time, I watched 3 John Hughes movies. For Thanksgiving, we watched Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because that's
classic.
What you do, right? It's the only good Thanksgiving, maybe the only Thanksgiving movie ever, really. I'm sure there are others, but that's the one, right? Love that movie. Great. Watched it with my Korean brother for the first time. He'd never seen it, and he loved it. Anyway, then I watched Film Sack, and we watched 16 Candles for Film Sack, and that was fine. And then Kim had some people over, and everybody decided for some reason they wanted to watch Breakfast Club. I think maybe it was somebody else's first viewing or something. So we sat down and watched Breakfast Club. And I realized at the end of all this, I watched, I don't know, close to, what would that be? 6 hours or 5 hours or whatever, if you cut it down to 90 minutes, of John Hughes movies. And I had no intention of doing that, but I did it. And it felt great. And I have no regrets about it. So I'm just throwing that out there because you two, we're all from this age.
Totally. Yeah.
This was our thing growing up. And
Brian says totally.
Yeah, totally.
That was completely unplanned, too.
It worked well.
It was unintentional.
Oh, it fit right in. Nice job.
Totally.
So I wanted to tell you that, and then also tell you that Major Spoilers is great, and people should go there. It's at majorspoilers.com. You can follow them on Twitter at Major Spoilers. Is there anything going on the site you want to recommend right now between now and the holidays?
No, we've got some shopping guides if people are looking for some very specific things to buy for other fans. But hey, listen, both of my boys I don't know if it's Thanksgiving related or weather related or whatever, but they both got bloody noses yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah,
weird.
and it's really crazy when you wake up in the middle of your night, kids' faces covered in blood because they woke up with a bloody nose. But here's the thing. They didn't stay hydrated.
Oh, see, there's the trick. That's what you got to do every time. Oh, that's how he hangs up on us.
Wow, nice.
That's really good. Yeah, your kids, you don't want them to get bloody noses. My sister used to get them real bad, and the doctor told her she had to get some surgery. So she eventually, not surgery, but she had a procedure done called, what's it called? Basically, you cauterize the inside of your nose. So they go in there, they go in there and like just seal it all up because she just had constant nosebleeds all the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Weird. Did it affect anything else, though?
No, just every morning she'd wake up and her pillow just be covered in blood. Or
but she could still smell just fine, like everything else.
Everything else worked
her nose
great.
Isn't turning blue or something from lack of blood.
No, it wasn't like
Wow.
They checked for like weird heart conditions and all kinds of stuff, and it turned out to be none of that. It was just I guess the membranes in her nose were just real thin or something. They did say it was probably related to the fact that when she was a baby and was growing up through her infancy in a orphanage, they feed them terribly, and she had when she got to America, she had very bad malnutrition issues. So her feet, she had flat feet, she had some eye stuff, like other things that are caused by malnutrition or bad nutrition. And the doctor's theory, this may be one of those things. Like that may have come from that. But it felt like every other hour, Misha had like a handful of tissue in her face because she was bleeding again or whatever. So anyway, they eventually go in there and they burn it all shut. Basically, they just cauterize the inside of your sinuses and your nose or whatever. And now she never has nosebleeds, and everything's fine. It's like a normal thing, I guess. But anyway, there's a fun little throwback story about medical weirdness.
That's totally weird. Wow.
And now, mashup.
Yay!
Actually, I haven't checked this. Oh, we do have a new one. 1599 through 1601 are the episodes. This is called Saturday Night at Ibbott's House. So let's see what's up with that. Enjoy.
It's 4 o'clock. Time to do a shot of Fireball.
Yeah, just an 80-year-old Hawkman going,
Hey, hot girl doesn't want to make out with me anymore.
she's not my queen. President for
Your
our
Majesty, I
troops.
wouldn't lean against that counter right there if I were you.
I may have
You
seen
might get stuck if you know what I mean.
spoilers.
Oh, yes, so we're doing the Harlem Shuffle with a hooker the night before the Queen visits.
Yeah.
Why am I Stewie all of a sudden? Hey, Brian, make sure you clean those glasses. Let me see that footage. Harrington, bring me the film. Bring me the film. I need to see the heavily tattooed man gyrating to dance music and swinging from a can.
I'm the Queen,
Oh,
Philip.
swings.
Philip, have you seen the 60 seconds of the butcher?
Since we're in the mode of personal hygiene, honesty, let's ask a couple of
I
more
am
questions.
completely shaven down there, yes.
Oh gosh, that was not on the list.
Sorry.
Jeez, Louise, kind of a dictator dick butt. And
Dictator Dick.
Yeah.
That's my favorite kind of dictator.
Yeah, they're the best.
I really put the dick in dictator.
Right, always put a dick in
Right.
dictator. I'm Jimmy Dean, and this is where my chub is. Look at my chub, everybody. I ain't doing that. Didn't you hear what's her name get on the TV and tell everybody vaccinations are giving you government blood? Dip.
Boobs slapping against each other and a toe mysteriously going into a butt for some reason.
Oh, jeez, great.
You don't actually see. You see the toe going between the cheeks, but not
So
into the actual.
literally, Saturday night at Ibbott's house is what you're saying.
It's literally Saturday night at Ibbott's house.
Sweet, toe up the butt. I look forward to it. Wow. I didn't know we were going to do the Ibbott's house thing, but I forgot about your toe up the butt thing from HBO.
I forgot about that too. Yeah, Sally Forever, everybody.
I did finish.
Still funny.
I finished that show that I recommended. Not the Bodyguard.
Oh, just Bodyguard. Right.
Yeah, with Rob Stark and that in there, and I really, really, really liked that thing. I think it was great.
Very cool.
It's only
I
6
think our
episodes.
next thing
so.
is Making Murder. We finished Goliath season 2 yesterday.
Weird, right? Weird season.
Weird season, and especially that whole episode where he really doesn't know where he is, like where he's just trapped in that house with a bunch of Quentin Tarantino characters.
Yeah, it was a Tarantino episode. It's the weirdest thing.
It totally was.
I still don't know how I feel about the season as a whole. I don't know. I can't tell because I think I liked it, and there's parts where I'm like, what are they even doing? What are they doing?
You know what? It's the characters that I just really like. Like Mark Duplass's character, Duplass, I think is excellent and bizarre and so disturbing with his whole amputee fetish.
Yeah, and his old house built into his place that he can go have his fetish time
exactly.
with. He's weird.
But his assistant Patty, or his co-counsel Patty, I think is one of the best characters ever created for a TV show.
Yeah,
she is
fantastic.
Just so good.
Yeah, she's really good. It just got into some weird territory, and I don't know. Different showrunner, I heard, so maybe the writing's weird. I don't know. But yeah, the characters are great. Keep going, Penny, on The Bodyguard. I thought it was awesome. I really liked it. It's very British. Everybody calls each other mum constantly, but it's really good. Okay. Well, that's the end of the show, you guys. I do have a couple emails to read. One from Jen. She sent this email to themorningstream@gmail.com. It says this: Hey, Scott and Brian, I just listened to your Monday show, and you were talking about the lady filming at the funeral, doing the vertical versus horizontal, or filming at a funeral in general.
Just filming at the funeral.
Yeah, we had lots of questions about that. But she says, I agree that she should not have been filming vertically. That's incorrect. But I think filming at a funeral is a great idea. I would wager she was maybe live streaming. My husband's family recently had 2 people pass away. Both of the funerals were live streamed. We couldn't make it to either, as one was across the country and the other was poor timing with work, etc. But we were able to go onto Facebook Live and watch the funeral. I think it made my husband feel better to see it because I know he felt bad about not being able to be there. So live streaming a funeral gets a thumbs up from me. It's a yes from Jen. Yeah, I guess so. I hadn't really thought of that. But
yeah, and I kind of mentioned that when we were talking about saying, well, it's possible she was recording it for somebody who wasn't able to make it, and I think that's cool. I think really if I had my druthers, that would be something that the church would offer, like just a live streaming feed where you can watch the service, the funeral service there, as opposed to click subscribe on my Twitch page if you want to see more funerals.
Don't forget to bash and subscribe or whatever.
What is up, YouTube? Here's a new.
What is up? It's your boy Dead Guy doing the thing.
Right.
Another email from
live
Terry.
Streaming is kind of a funny. Good point, chat room. Live streaming. I guess it's dead streaming.
Oh yeah, dead streaming. Duh. That's how it should be. Hey Scott and Brian. Oh, did you hear about these new Twitch music rules? We may have to talk.
Uh-oh. Okay. I've not heard about them.
They're basically getting on YouTube on not just me. It's like a brand new thing, and I'm concerned. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Hey Scott and Brian, says Terry Z from Chicago. Concerning the continuing hot dog / roller discussion on Wednesday's program, Scott made an analogy of himself walking is what he meant. He put wailing. Walking on the earth from the perspective of him being stationary and the earth being the thing moving. Brian scoffed at this idea. I would like to use Einstein's 1905 special theory of relativity to point out to Brian that it is scientifically sound to analyze this using Scott's perspective of himself being stationary and the earth that's moving. Love the show, though, Terry Z from Chicago. And Brian, you actually replied to this email. Would you like to express your rebuttal here?
Absolutely. Terry, and then we've said this via email, I wasn't scoffing at Scott's analogy of the perspective of him being stationary and the earth basically being the thing that he's rolling with his feet as he walks. I was scoffing at the speed at which this would have to happen. Scott would have to be walking at just under 1,000 miles an hour for him to technically feel like he was stationary and the earth rolling underneath him and the sun moving, rising and setting around him and stuff.
Yeah, that's totally true. So, now, I would throw in real quick that the theory of relativity is this idea, though, that everything's, that there's a relativity to every object, every dead space, everything has a relativity to it. Right. So me relative to the earth rotating, the earth relative to me rotating, like all of that is true. But Brian has a point. If we're trying to measure the speed at which the earth rotates underneath me, I'd have to run a lot faster.
Yes. And you're absolutely correct about I'm certainly not arguing with with the theory of relativity on this one. So
No, it seems to be a good one that holds up all these years later.
yes, yeah, it's very interesting. It's
Yeah.
something that's kind of stuck with us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for making us think a little more, Terry Z, about that whole thing. Terry Z.
Terry Z.
We're done. We're going to go now. We're going to go and do a day's worth of other things. It's going to be busy. Tomorrow, listen to this. After the show tomorrow, I go to the University of Utah, and I'm being asked between two ferns style. I have to sit in front of a class of about 150 students and talk about working in the games business when it's in the periphery and not directly in games, if that makes sense. So
Cool.
Podcasting, producing other content, whatever, around the games world, not necessarily making video games, but producing content around video games. So I'm going to be up there on stage. Corinne, who teaches this class, is going to be asking me these questions, and Carter's going to be in the class. It's one of her classes.
Gotcha.
150 kids in there. Now, I haven't done anything where I've taught or otherwise helped out with a class for my kids since Carter was 7. So when she was 7, I went to her elementary school and did a little art thing. Now I get to do it when she's 21 in front of all of her college people, and I need to come up with some good ideas to embarrass her from up there. So I'm trying to think of some good embarrassing things I could say. I'm very excited about it. All right, Brian, we should get out of here. Frogpants.com/TMS is our website. You can go there to find everything you need to contact us, find us, get the show, get the archives. A reminder, if you're looking for old shows, more than 200 episodes old, we have an entire feed that is nothing but that. So with this feed that you get this on, if you're listening to the audio, you're getting the most recent 200 or so episodes. Then they fall off onto another feed so that this one doesn't get too gargantuan. Because that, you wouldn't believe how much money you start paying for feed downloads when they get that big.
Yes.
So,
oh yeah. Well, plus RSS feeds break when you have too much stuff in the XML file.
yeah, they start getting real
Learn that the hard
unwieldy.
way.
Yeah, you can learn that. You can definitely learn that
The
the hard way.
longer your show notes, the sooner you have to do that, and that's why it's only like the last 10 episodes for Coverville.
Yeah. So
12 or 10 or 12.
I probably should do something closer to that, but I've got TMS with 200 in it. Seems to be working okay, but
That's cool. That's a smart way to do it, and I probably should do the same thing for Coverville, because
Yeah.
people can't access those old feeds without either buying the DVDs or just manually downloading each episode from the website.
yeah, and the reason I did it this way was I knew if I didn't do it this way and start dragging them over manually, it was going to be I'd have to recreate them, and I'm not going to do that. So
Yeah.
I grab them, move them over, and put them on that feed. So if you're interested in that, that's all at frogpants.com/TMS as well. I don't know why you'd want to go back and listen to everything from 2011 forward. You're crazy and insane, but I know some people do, and that's great. And we love you for it, but feel free to do what you got to do. Another reminder, this show is produced in an enormous part on the backs of our listeners. Patreon.com/TMS. And if you haven't done it before, consider it, especially this time of year. We could really use it. Head on over there, drop $1, $2, $3, whatever you feel good about. Here's the thing. We were dumb when we set this up. Everybody else has a per show thing. But Brian and I did it wrong, and we did it so that it's a month. You pay monthly. So you pay... Let's say you pay $1 a month, you get 16 episodes of a podcast.
Right.
Of
For a
tons
buck.
of content
You're
for
paying,
$1. It's ridiculous.
Exactly.
What did we do? What were we thinking? It's so dumb. But we're not going to change it now. So go take advantage of us is what we're saying.
Yes.
Go throw down $1 or $2, and you look at all you get for the month. It's redonkulous. But we appreciate all your support. Thanks everybody who already does, and if you haven't, consider it. All right. We're out of here now. Brian, song time thing deal?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Reg from Chilliwack, BC, wrote in and said, "Hello, Masters of the Wind, Skal Akir and Brawl Akir.
Whoa.
I'm quite excited for the WoW patch 8.1 for many reasons, like incursions and dwarven heritage armor, etc. Anyhow, I would like to request a song to add to the hype. The song is called Master of the Wind by Manowar. I know of a version by Van Canto, a band that Brian turned me on to. Wink, wink. But if you know of another, please feel free to share. The song isn't really WoW related. However, it does have a verse that directly references what I get in the end after downing a raid boss. Listen for it, and you might definitely see why I like it. Cheers, mates. Signed, Reg.